do a couple more. I'll go ahead and put up the current playoff picture. Alright, let's turn this music off as we look more at the current playoff picture of the RFL after week 16, heading into week 17. As we saw, some teams have already clinched we'll start in the ARC. The current number 1 seed Bisons, what's up, Rodney? Current number 1 seeded Bisons have clinched the ARC West. The 2-seeded Huskies have clinched a playoff spot, and the number 5 seed, the Chicago Cougars, have all clinched playoff spots. You still have the 4, 6, 3, and 7 spots in the ARC all wide open. And then shockingly, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, if you check out the Neon, in the NRC, even with the Steamers at 11-4, they currently have a nightmare scenario going on as the Diablos at number 1 have clinched. The Diablos will at least be a wild card team. And the Steamers at 11-4, because of the teams they've lost to, in the Desperados and Marshalls, could still technically miss the playoffs. Now, I have them listed when we go look at my spreadsheet later on. I do currently have them listed as locked because with 11 wins, there's no way they're going to fall out, but I do have them currently locked as the 2 seed. Because you have the Diablos at 12-2-1. You have the Steamers at 11-4. Well, the 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 seeds, 3 through 6, are all 9-6. They're all 2 games behind the Steamers with 2 games left. So that would mean the Steamers would have to lose out, and 5 of those teams would have to win out. And I just don't see that happening. All right, so now there's that, we can go into what's pulled up here. There's that. Here. Get into what we're looking at here. Let me go get my notes real quick. All right, let's see what we're working with here. If we go into, so I pull this up. Neon isn't completely updated, but we've already played a couple games, streamed a couple games. Trying to get ready for week 17, so we can't update it from here. But the Sacramento Miners are actually the 7 seed right now. They have the tiebreaker over the Bulls. And so there's just a lot going on in the ARC, and I'll do this division by division in the ARC. So when it comes to playoffs, the Hogs, let's see, is Peyton Cash here yet? Have the tiebreaker over the Bulls. Let's see, I'm not seeing Peyton. But anyway, if we look at here, the Hogs 1 game away from elimination, or a couple teams winning away from elimination at 7-8. You can see here the Huskies and Cougars, both 11-4, both fighting for the North. If we look at the Hogs here at 7-8 with the Huskies and Lumberjacks, I have listed here. I'm not going through every single possibility for teams to make it, but I will go over what seems to be their easiest path. So for the Hogs, obviously they would need to win out to get to 9-8, but then they would also need the Bulls to lose out, and then they would need London and the Miners to both lose at least a game. Because if you look here, the Hogs have the tiebreaker over the Miners, so they can finish with the same record. But that's how the Hogs get in, right there. So the Hogs need to win out. What's up, Mac? Hogs need to win out. They need the Bulls to lose out, and they need the Bulldogs and the Miners to lose one of their last 2 games. All right, moving on to the ARC South with the Voyagers and Sentinels. For the Voyagers, it's easy to win the division. The Voyagers need to win 1 game. The Sentinels need to lose 1 game, and that's it. So the Voyagers can win the South this week with a win over the Desperados, and the Sentinels lost at the Bulldogs. Now, at 10 wins, they're almost solidified. They had, say, about a 90% chance to make the playoffs even if they lose out. But they can just make the wild card if they win or one of the 2 teams between the Miners and Bulls lose. So if the Bulls or Miners lose, the Voyagers will clinch a spot. All right, for the Sentinels, the only way for the Sentinels to win the division is the Voyagers need to lose twice and they need to win once. So that's how the Sentinels get the division, is with 1 win and 2 Voyager losses. I'm sorry, with 1 win and 1. Nope. Yeah, 1 win, 2 Voyager losses, or if they win both, the Voyagers only need 1 loss. So the Sentinels are still somewhat in control. If they can just get the Voyagers to drop a game, they can get there. For the Sentinels, a wild card spot, they just need a win, and then the same thing for the Voyagers. Because if I just highlight some stuff, I'll do it down here. Here's a 10-win team right there. Here's a 10-win. It could be a 10-win team. Just highlighting the teams that can get to 10 wins. Right here, and right here. So all the teams I have in green are the teams in the ARC that can get to 10 wins. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 teams. So that means if the Bulls or the Miners lose, either one of them lose, well, that's only 7. I'll use this one, the Bulls for example. Well, that's 7. So the Sentinels and CT and the Voyagers can all clinch this week with a win or one of these 2 teams losing. So it'll make it to where only 7 teams can have 10 wins or more. So that's how the Sentinels can get in this week. Let's see. And I think that's it for the South. We get to the East, and we have the Bulldogs, who can still technically win the division. The Bulldogs can still technically win the division. They have to win out. Dublin has to lose out, and the Bulls need to lose Week 17. So the Bulldogs can win the division with the Celtic Tigers losing Week 17 and 18, and then the Bulls losing Week 17, and the Bulldogs can win the division. The Bulldogs wild card. Looks like there's still a chance for that too in my notes. It's just extremely complicated. So let's see. For the Bulldogs to make the wild card, obviously they have to win out. For this to happen, let's see. The Bulldogs went out. That means if they didn't win the division, CT's won the division. So then we're looking at the Bulls needing to lose Week 17 or 18, doesn't matter which one. They need to lose at least 1, and then they both finish at 9 and 7. The Bulldogs will be on top. If the Bulldogs win, that means the Sentinels lost this game, and they also need the Sentinels to lose Week 18, so the Sentinels lose out. And then they need the Hogs and the Aviators to both lose 1 more. So for the Bulldogs to make it, that's assuming the Miners are the 6th seed. So really, the only way for the Bulldogs to make it is for the Miners to make it. All right, for the Bulls, they win the division if they win out. And then for the wild card, a lot of the same. You need the Hogs and the Aviators to both lose 1 more. We don't need them. For the Bulls, really, the Bulls' easiest path is for them to win out and for the Miners to lose 1. That is the easiest path for the Bulls. For CT, they can win the division with a win this week and a Bulls loss, or they can win week 17 and 18. Obviously means the Bulls lose week 18. For the division, again, I've already gone over the easiest path for all these 9-win teams. Is if the Sentinels can get a win this week, and then the Bulls or Miners lose, then CT can clinch. All right, that's it for the East. The Aviators. Obviously, the Aviators cannot win the division, and the Aviators, as I'm looking at my notes here, actually have the hardest path to getting in. So obviously, they have to win out. Aviators have to win out. Cincinnati, the Hogs need to lose 17 or 18 to break that tiebreaker. They need the Miners to lose both so they can get back to second in the division. They need the Bulldogs to lose at least one more, and they need Brooklyn to lose twice. So again, for the Aviators, and if anyone in chat needs me to go back over their specific team, just let me know. But again, for the Aviators, they need to win out. They need the Miners and the Bulls to lose out. And they need the Hogs or the Bulldogs to lose one more. And that's what I have for the ARC. What's up, Matthews? All right, the NRC is a little bit more complicated because we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We currently have a 9-6 team on the outside. The Condors are the current 8th seed in the NRC. So let me take this away to not get anyone confused. The Steamers technically have not clinched a wild card spot yet. So we're in week 17. There's an 11-win team who mathematically have not clinched yet. So we're looking here. Obviously, the Diablos are the one team in the NRC who clinched. They have clinched the NRC South. And if they beat the Armadillos this week, they are the 1 seed in the NRC. They either need to beat the Armadillos or the Steamers need to lose to the Shamrocks. Either one of those will make the Diablos the 1 seed. All right, so if we start over here with the Barons, again, they're a game behind the Explorers, the Desperados, the Marshalls, the Elks, the Snowhawks, and the Condors. If I look in the file, the Barons are technically the 9 seed right now. So they do have the tiebreaker over the Thunderbirds. So they're the top 8 and 17. For the Barons, if we look just at their division, they need to win out and they need the Explorers to lose out, or at least lose one. But looking at these matchups, I mean, the Explorers are going to be favored over the Gunners and Elks. Obviously, they were favored over the Pioneers and lost. But the Explorers need a win, and the Barons need a loss, and then they clinch that division. And I'm just, you're just looking at this, so that's for them. The South, the Desperados. Let's see, because even if there's no way for any wildcard team in the NRC to clinch this week because of how close it is. It looks like the only two teams in the NRC that can clinch this week is the Steamers with a win or Marshall's loss, and the Explorers with a win and Barons loss. So the only 2 teams in the entire NRC that can officially clinch. Now again, 11 wins for the Steamers. They would have to have, because none of these teams play each other. So the Elks would have to win out, the Snowhawks would have to win out, the Condors would have to win out, the Marshalls would have to win out, and the Desperados would all have to win out. And that's the only way to knock the Steamers out. But I'm in the Madden file looking at it now, and they don't have the X next to their name, so they have not mathematically clinched. I just assumed with 11 wins that you'd be guaranteed a spot, but that's how close the NRC is. And if you're any NRC team and you're in this chat, you're just hoping that the other NRC teams lose. All right. Are there any other playoff questions? I mean, if I had to give you guys who I thought were going to miss, if I'm looking at this, if I had to predict here, I'll give my official predictions. I'm going to guess, I mean, obviously this is my team, but I'm going to guess the Diablos get the 1 seed by beating the Armadillos, who, again, if you don't know, the Armadillos are 1-14. Haven't won a game since week 4. I'd give them that. I'm going to assume the Steamers win their division, whether it's a win this week or next week against the Red Dragons, that they're going to win their division. I'm going to guess that the Explorers win their division. Right here. And just looking at these records, the Marshals are favorable. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Tigers and the Monarchs to get them a spot. After beating teams like the Steamers, Thunderbirds, and Desperados, no reason they should lose any of those. If we look over here, the Pioneers and Crusaders, I'm going to have the Snowhawks winning their division. My prediction. Crusaders, Barons, Elks, Barons, Dreadnought, Shamrocks. I'm going to have the Desperados make it, probably going 1-1 in these last 2. So then there's one more wild card spot. And just going based off who these teams are playing at the end of the season, I think it's going to be the Condors. So I think we're going to see, even though it's a great run by the Elks, I think the Elks are going to miss. I think the Thunderbirds are going to miss. And I think the Barons are going to miss. I think those 2 teams who will fall into 8 and 7 will miss the playoffs. And I think the 9-6 Elks are our current 9-win team who's not going to make it. They might get to 10 if they can upset the Barons or Explorers. But there's a shot that they miss. All right, well, if more people come in and they want more playoff questions, they can just ask when they get here. But I also do have the award races currently. So if we go to the award races I have right here, current MVP leader still 30-sack man himself, Tyrone Johnson. Right behind him, quarterback for the Desperados, Marquise Washington. Third place, Madison Axel of the Diablos. And then fourth place, Daryl Johnson. And everyone sees that James Blackman got hurt. We got that news. He's out for the season. So this is really just a 3-man race at the top. And I think it's Tyrone Johnson's to lose. Again, he's got those 30 sacks. But the Elks are playing the Barons and the Explorers. Both teams who don't get sacked a bunch. If we go back and look at, we can check that out in on Neon real quick. If we just go to the passing leaders and we just go to see who gets sacked the most. And let's see when we can find 128 for Preston Schroeder is crazy. See if we can find Jabri or all the way down here is Joe Johnson's only been sacked 50 times this season. And did I miss Jabri? Or is he just not in the top 25 of being sacked? So he's just not in the top 25. If I go top 50. Yeah, he's all the way down here. Only been sacked 36 times. So they've done a good job of keeping these 2 quarterbacks upright. I don't know if Tyrone Johnson, as good as he is going to be able to put up those numbers, because I believe the Elks just played the Monarchs. So if I go back, look at their schedule. Yes, they just played the Monarchs 120-13. And again, this was the most sacked quarterback in the league. They got 13 total on him, but if we look at it, let's see, where's he at? Defense, sacks. Vincent Gomez with 5, Elijah Payne with 4. Tyrone Johnson didn't get any sacks while his team got 13. So he went that's one game just now where he had 0 sacks. Now he is at, if we look at career stats right now, he's at 32.5. So I do think he's still the front runner, But we've seen Axel, if we go to the rushing leaders, averaging 151 yards per game, 300 yards ahead of second place in terms of yards. And in terms of touchdowns, he's 7 ahead of second place. So, Axel looks like he's going to have 2,500 yards. Like he's going to be on pace for 30 touchdowns. It's going to come down to whether the game values those 30 those 30 rushing touchdowns or the 30-plus sacks of Tyrone Johnson. But those are the two main people I look out for. Marquise Washington. Let's check him out while we have time real quick. Let's see. Let's go back here. Let's see. Passing leaders for Marquise Washington. 4,100 yards, 34 touchdowns with 2 games left. So probably going to end up with that about 38 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns per game. So 38 touchdowns, probably 4,600 yards with a quarterback rating north of 100. So still has a chance too, but I still think it's going to come down to those other two more than likely. And then I have the NRC listed here first. NRC offensive player is Madison Axel, currently leading still. And again, we've seen his stats, how far ahead he is of everyone. I don't think he loses that. Defensive player of the year, Tyrone Johnson with 32.5 sacks. James Blackman out for the season. Nick O'Quinn and Marvin Woolfolk are the next two. So let me see how far away they are in terms of sacks. Nick O'Quinn has 28.5. So Nick O'Quinn is 4 behind with 2 games left. So maybe we'll see something there. And then Marvin Woolfolk is only at, I say only, but only 22.5 sacks. So he's a whole 10 behind that. So it's really going to come down to if Nick O'Quinn can make a push for that. All right, so and now NRC Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's currently Dior Gore, Vince Reed for the Marshals, and then Rohan Boxey, followed by Steve McCaskill. So what I really want to pull up, if we come over here, is compare. I think they have the player compare thing, right? Yeah, here. No. So I'll go here, statistics, receiving, rookies only, in terms of yards. All right, so if we look, Gore has 912, Rohan Boxey 788, Steve McCaskill 739. So Gore actually has a healthy 130-ish yards ahead of Rohan, but Rohan has 2 more touchdowns. Same thing here, you look at McCaskill, more touchdowns than Gore. So this is going to be tightly contested over the next 2 weeks, as they're all trying to hit 1,000 yards as a rookie. And then Vince Reed is the rusher. So let's see how far away he is if I go to rookies only for Vince Reed. Vince Reed at 844 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that's going to be tightly contested going off the last 2 weeks here about who wins that. I don't think Rivers at this point has a chance. I don't think Schneider or Dotson are really going to be in the conversation. So let's see. Now, Defensive Rookie of the Year, obviously Nick O'Quinn. Not even close with those 28.5 sacks. Lou Burks is second, and he only has 14. So Nick O'Quinn has twice as many sacks as Nick O'Quinn. Or Nick O'Quinn has twice as many sacks as Lou Burks. So he's not coming back from that. So we look at NRC Quarterback of the Year is obviously Marquise Washington. Weed Wagner right behind. Daryl Johnson right behind him. And if we compare those two passing, go to passing, and we're just looking at Reed Wagner and Marquise Washington. Wagner has 200 more yards, 1 less touchdown, 1 more interception. So that's neck and neck between those two quarterbacks as we look at Reed Wagner and Washington. Now Wagner's, where's that? The yards per attempt is way higher as he's thrown almost a full game's less of attempts than Washington. But Washington has all those rushing numbers as well, so that's probably what's propelling him above there. As we go to the Running back is Axel, and that's just not going to be touched. There's no one close enough for him. Wide receiver, Cecil Austin. So if we go to receiving, Cecil Austin is the current leader in terms of total yards in the entire RFL. We have Montrell Lansana, J.J. Vaughn, C.J. Robinson, Devontae Dean, Amari Manuel, Patrick Connery, Jake Pride, Roland Woods, and John Johnson. But if we just look at this, second on the list was Montrell Lansana, and he's not even anywhere close to Cecil Austin in terms of yards. I don't even see a top 25 receiver. He's all the way down here, 200 yards away, 2 less touchdowns. I'm kind of wondering why he's at second when Devontae Dean has more yards and 1 less touchdown. Jake Pride. I mean, I see Romeo Jackson only has 5. I wonder why Montrell Lansana is all the way up there. It doesn't seem like he should be the second one. Maybe he has a rushing touchdown or something I'm not aware of. All right. Next is, after receiver, is D-line. And again, that's going to be between Nick O'Quinn and Tyrone Johnson. Johnson with a 4-sack lead. We'll have to see if they can make any difference between there. Linebacker, Jacob Reed Jr., followed by Daniel Severio, Nick Carroll, DeJuan Forbes, Kenny Summer, and Dylan Schwartz running at the top 6. And again, this one's all based on tackles, TFLs, forced fumbles, stuff like that. Not a whole lot of reasoning to look at Neon for this, because Neon only takes account for solo tackles, doesn't take account for total tackles. So let's see. So after linebacker, we have DB Frederick Roper, who I believe is still leading all DBs with interceptions with 5. Everyone else is either in the ARC or a linebacker, so that's clearly why he's up there. And then they have Russell, Henry Dockett, Chris Randolph, Juan Redden, the rookie, at 5. Is big for the Marshals. It's going to take us to the ARC now, as the current leader for Offensive Player of the Year is Corey Leonidas. If I go look at rushing, and I'll pull this up for you guys too. And just in terms of rushing yards, the top 4 rushers all year are all in the NRC. And then you have Kingston Kenny and Corey Leonidas, who are separated. Why is Kingston Kenny not? Where's he at? He's listed at 3rd behind Jacob Haynes. Interesting. Because Leonidas has less yards and less touchdowns than Kingston Kenny. So I'm actually not sure what Madden's looking at here. Maybe you guys can let me know. But yeah, I'm not. Leonidas 1480, or Kenny 1480, Leonidas 1440. Kenny with 10, Leonidas with 8. So I'm not sure there. I think Jacob Haynes is at 18, but has 200 less yards. But even then, we go look at this. I'm not sure why Kingston Kenny is down at 4th behind. I mean, maybe it's the receiving stuff. Maybe Leonidas has a lot more receiving yards. So if I go here, position, let's do running back. And okay, so yeah, Corey Leonidas has 4 more touchdowns in the air and 612 more yards. Okay, so that's what it is. Is Kingston Kenny anywhere? He's nowhere. He doesn't have over 200 yards. So that's what that is. It's because Corey Leonidas has so many receiving yards. And obviously, you can see Casey Robinson up there at 3. Would be crazy if he can overtake these last 2 to win Offensive Player of the Year as a rookie. Defensive Player of the Year is Drew Brewer, followed by Charles Rainman, Nolan Angelo, Ed Ritter, Russell Shackelford, so another rookie up there, Michael Pratt, Austin Sanders in that top 7. So again, a lot of edge rushers, defensive sacks always dominate this category. So So if we look, how many sacks does Drew Brewer have if we just pull this up real quick? Drew Brewer at 23 and leads the entire ARC. Nolan Angelo's next at 22.5. Charles Raymond, 22. That's why he's up there. As we're going to go to Offensive Rookie of the Year, and everyone knows who it is for the ARC. It is still Casey Robinson, as he is just destroying everything right now for this rookie season. 1,200 yards rushing as a rookie quarterback. So just having a great season, and he's just obviously going to take this home. Bo Sanders, that tank, tried to put up a fight, but with that many rushing yards, it's just not going to happen. Both of them injured. Sanyalu isn't going to get up there. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Russell Shackelford, who I believe is on pace for a 20-sack season. Let's see if I go rookies only. Russell Shackelford, 19.5 with 2 left. So he's easily going to get it. Ethan Marks at 19. So my bad. Ethan Marks at 19. Only half a sack behind. Now Shackelford does have 2 touchdowns, 3 more forced fumbles. So Ethan Marks has a little bit to make up, but Ethan Marks could steal Defensive Rookie of the Year here at the end. And you just got to feel bad for Cena, who only got to play 10 games for a season-ending injury. And he is still third. So Cena has not played since week 10 and is still third in Rookie of the Year. So we move to the positional awards. Quarterback of the Year, Calvin Poole. So let's see if we go back to these passing stats, because right behind him is Monty Wyatt and DWJ. So passing stats, we just said Calvin Poole is down here with almost 4,000 yards, but it's going to be that 31-2 touchdown to interception ratio we're seeing right here. That's the big difference. As second place was Monty Wyatt, who's right above here, but has 6 less touchdowns, 2 more interceptions. You saw DWJ, who has 7 less touchdowns and 2 more interceptions. And then Miles McCain, who has 7 less touchdowns, 3 more interceptions. So Calvin Poole is most likely going to maintain that, as he's going to have to play out this season. There's going to be no rest for him, as them and the Cougars are fighting for the division. Running back Corey Leonidas. Again, now see, I understand Offensive Player of the Year because you add in the receiving stuff. But running back of the year, I think Kingston Kenny's definitely been the better rusher. You can make an argument that Jacob Haynes with 18 touchdowns and only 100 less yards has been better. As Damani Manuel and Cam Perkins ran out that top 5. But I think Kingston Kenny should be in the lead for this one right now. And then receiver of the year is Ajon Grant. So everyone knows that we had someone come in and kick me off the account when I was taking pictures for the Miners Aviators game. So the Miners had to be given a force win. And in that force win, if I can pull it up in the game real quick. Let's see, Miners. Right here, in that force win, Ajon Grant had 4 touchdowns in that force win. So instead of Steve Washington having 3, Ajon Grant had 4, and it shot him to the top of receiver of the year. Now he's still going to be fighting with Farrell Raines and Cam Brooks, who Cam Brooks was leading it a couple weeks ago when we were looking at it. But those 4 touchdowns are really going to put him ahead for that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he holds on. D-line Drew Brewer, we just saw he leads the ARC in sacks, and that's how that award is always decided. For linebacker of the year, AJ Pestock, when me and Smitty did this on the RFL podcast 2 weeks ago, I believe he was leading now. I think he's been the best linebacker in the league this year. And so he deserves that. And then DB of the year is Diamond Armani, the rookie out of Clemson, is currently leading all DBs for DB of the year. And if I remember correctly, in the Huskies last game, he got 2 interceptions. And I think that's what shot him up the boards. Who did the Huskies play? The Huskies played the Black Knights when Geno Gannon got hurt. And so Geno Gannon and DeAnthony Young both threw an interception to Diamond Armani. So as of right now, Diamond Armani is going to get a huge XP boost. And that is all of the awards. So I'll just pull this back up for now. I'll stay around for 5 more minutes if anyone else has any questions. But that's all the award winners going into Week 17. That is all of the award winners. That's all the playoff races, all the playoff scenarios. If anyone's coming in late and has any questions about their team, you can let me know. Yeah, this is what we're looking at right now. And if anyone has any questions for our end, just let me know. Let the music play in the background so we're not just staring at a screen here. All right, looks like we're not getting any questions, guys, so I'm just going to let it end it there. It's been Coach Forbes. I'll be in the Discord. If you have any questions, I'll probably just direct you to here. But yeah, that's all from me, guys, from the Relo Roundtable, and I'll see you guys next week. Nice little 40-minute conversation there.